Finally, we get to the genus Homo, right? Now, what's interesting, remember that humans, us, we give organisms their genus and species names. And that means we have to place boundaries on a spectrum where boundaries often don't exist. It's kind of like seeing a spectrum from blue to green and saying, well, draw the line where blue becomes green, right? There's some in between there, right? There's some aqua, there's some teal, what's quite blue, what's quite green. It's the same thing for our human ancestors and now the genus Homo, right? Humans have just arbitrarily drawn a line in that evolutionary tree, marking a new genus, but there aren't really striking anatomical differences between the two. Compared to the Australopithecines, the genus before us, early Homo species had a really high cranial vault, somewhat larger cranial capacity, so a little bit smaller, more erect posture. We stood more upright, and our premolars were narrower with a shorter row of cheek teeth. Again, nothing majorly different. These are just a few little differences. Notably, crude early Paleolithic stone tools are found in association with Homo fossils. So we know that organisms of the genus Homo used tools just like modern humans do. So what conditions triggered the evolution of the genus Homo from the genus Australopithecus? Well, we now have ample evidence that about 2.7 million years ago, Africa began to grow cooler and drier. And as a result, rainforests gave way to broad expanses of grasslands. And in this more open and difficult environment, hominins would have experienced selective predators that would have caused us to walk upright and be bipedal, right? Just like horses had to get really tall to see over the grass, humans had to start walking upright to see over the grass. We also gained greater intelligence. This might have been an adaptation to being, just out in the open in a field. We needed to be able to evade predators a little better, hide a little better. Intelligence would have helped us with that. And as part of this intelligence, we developed stone tool technology. The next stage in the hominid evolution is the organism that we call Homo erectus. This is the first organism that walked completely upright, hence the species name erectus. And it lived from 1.9 million years ago to about 70,000 years ago. This is the first hominin that we know to have moved out of Africa and into Eurasia. It has a larger cranial capacity than its ancestors, so it's getting even smarter. This is a trend we're seeing: larger brains, more intelligence. And there's ample evidence that Homo erectus used this large brain from the bones of other animals that were found where these organisms lived. It's clear that they were excellent hunters. They were also really skilled at making simple implements out of flint and chert, things like axes and scrapers. Okay. So they would have looked a lot like this, looking very, very human, right? Living in communities much like we would, right? So very human, having a lot of human cultures. From the Homo erectus stage that lived during the mid-Pleistocene is a short step to the late Pleistocene hominids called Neanderthals. Neanderthals lived from about 225,000 years ago to 28,000 years ago, and they represent the modern species Homo sapiens. Some paleoanthropologists regard Neanderthals as a variety or just a subspecies of Homo sapiens. So you'll see them called Homo sapiens neanderthalensis, right? They actually are Homo sapiens. They're just a subspecies within us. And radioisotopic dating of a jawbone from Croatia shows that Neanderthals were in Central Europe as recently as 28,000 years ago. So during the last ice age, Neanderthals were living in Central Europe. Right? This also means that Neanderthals and humans coexisted for a few thousand years. And we actually have genetic evidence of interbreeding. So it's very possible that you have Neanderthal DNA within you because maybe your great, and so on grandparent was a Neanderthal. The Neanderthal brain size actually equaled or even exceeded that of present humans. So this depiction of Neanderthals being like dumb, flat-footed, bent-kneed brutes just wasn't true, right? They were very intelligent, just as intelligent as us, if not more intelligent. And in fact, a lot of what like this depiction of this like hunched over dumb Neanderthal, we actually think came from a skeleton that we found that had severe osteoarthritis. So it's not that all of the Neanderthals were all hunched over and dumb. It's just that that one skeleton happened to be because of this disease. As I said, Neanderthals were very smart. They had a lot of human culture like we would think of today. They did live in caves just like Homo sapiens did, and they hunted large animals for food, like mammoth, woolly rhinoceroses, reindeer, bison, and so on. In order to kill and butcher the game they killed, they had a variety of stone, spear points, scrapers, knives, saw-edged tools. They made ample use of fire and could ignite one at will at the hearths that they excavated on the floor of caves. And we know that they cared for their sick. They pondered the nature of death. They believed in an afterlife. We know all of this because we find evidence of their tradition of funerals, and they buried artifacts with their dead, which shows us that they did believe in some sort of afterlife. Finally, we get to Homo sapiens. One of the many lessons of historical geology is that the arrival of Homo sapiens is only a very recent and momentary event along the 500 million year evolution of vertebrates, right? We have only been around on Earth for basically the blink of an eye. We're very, very minuscule in terms of how long we've been on Earth. Yet even though we arrived just recently, we have had the most influence of any other vertebrate species on Earth. We've made a far greater impact on our environment than any other group of vertebrates, right? Again, the most recent time that an organism had such a great impact on Earth would have been the evolution of specific types of plants and the evolution of algae, right? So since then, no other vertebrate has ever had such an impact on Earth as we have. And much of this has to do with the sheer number of us and that we have thumbs, we're intelligent, and we can make tools.